Can Diego Lopes win the belt against Alexander Volkanovski? Do we give him a real chance of winning? Because yes, we do criticize the matchmaking, but at the end of the day, this is the fight we got, so we might as well try to break this down and see, can Diego Lopes make the adjustments to beat Volk? Now, in my opinion, a lot of the best chance for Diego Lopes to actually win this fight is banking on the fact that Alexander Volkanovski will have significantly slowed down, that his speed isn't going to be what his once was. He's not going to be as explosive. His chin is going to be even worse. It's going to also be banking on the fact that Diego Lopes is going to get better, improve striking defense, be able to move his head off the center line, be even more explosive, have more power, etc.
Lerone Murphy just dropped a bold prediction that has the MMA world buzzing. Alexander Volkanovski would demolish Diego Lopes in 95 out of 100 fights.
Obviously, Diego supposedly hits hard. He's got a puncher's chance. Any MMA fight, we know that it's a very dangerous fight. But I think if they fight 100 times, I think Volkanovski wins 95. That's my opinion. I believe Volkanovski comes out with it. He fights a smart fight again. And bro, if you look at
the undefeated contender is wrestling with the bitter reality that he might never get his shot at facing one of the sport's all-time greats, and his frustration is spilling over into every interview he gives. Murphy carries an unblemished record into every conversation about the featherweight division, with 17 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw across his professional career, including 9 wins and a draw inside the UFC octagon. He represents the kind of fighter who traditionally earns title shots. His recent performance only amplified his case. When he accepted a short-notice showdown with Aaron Pico at UFC 319, Murphy delivered one of the most spectacular finishes anyone will see all year, catching Pico with a spinning elbow that sent shockwaves through the division. In Murphy's mind, that knockout wasn't just another victory. It was supposed to be his golden ticket, the performance that would force the UFC's hand and land him opposite Volkanovski when the champion defended his belt in Sydney this February. Instead, the promotion went in another direction entirely. Diego Lopes, who had already faced Volkanovski just months earlier and lost by unanimous decision, received the call for an immediate rematch. The decision left Murphy on the outside looking in, watching as someone else got a second chance at glory while his own opportunity slipped away.
We saw the news. It's unbelievable. Talk to me about what went through your mind when that dropped.
Ever since I went in there and knocked out Pico, I thought for sure I'm next in line, and everything seemed to be going my way. But I could have went to Australia, fought a close fight with Volkanovski, and they could have robbed me. Who knows? Imagine a scenario where Volkanovski wins, retires, and then they make my fight the title fight. You just never know.
When you look at somebody with your record of what you've been able to do in your career in the UFC, it's almost like, does that mean anything? Does that win streak mean anything? One day I hope I get like Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard or Dana White on the Mighty Cast, because I was like, okay guys, make it make sense.
Prize fighters, we need money, we need to fight, but bro, I want that crack at the title, bro. It's like, that's legacy right there, and that's to set me up as well. It's massive, and it's something that I'm never going to be able to get now because of that. Not because I didn't earn it, because of obviously favoritism. He thinks I'm hating on him. I'm happy for him. Well done. You got the title shot. I don't care. Like, it is what it is. You don't make the fight.
The frustration Murphy feels extends beyond his own situation and touches on broader concerns about how title shots get distributed in modern mixed martial arts. Demetrius Johnson, one of the most accomplished fighters in UFC history, voiced similar complaints when discussing the Volkanovski versus Lopes rematch on his YouTube channel. Johnson pointed out that Lopes had his chance at the title and lost decisively, with most observers scoring the fight 4 rounds to 1 in Volkanovski's favor. After that clear defeat, Lopes went on to beat Gene Silva in a back-and-forth war where he absorbed significant damage and nearly got stopped himself. One victory, earned in a fight where he showed vulnerability, somehow translated into an immediate rematch with the champion. Johnson questions whether the decision came down to Lopes' popularity and marketability rather than merit.
They probably think like, oh, Demetrius and Lerone, well, you have every reason to be mad, but think that Diego Lopes shouldn't, or hating that I'm mad that he got it. I would say I'm not mad. I just wanted to make sense, right? Like I've been in your shoes before, right? Like I've defended the belt so many times. I see the guy who's next in line. You know, Joseph Benavidez. After I knocked him out, I beat him in in Toronto. He goes on a 5-fight win streak. He gets the next title shot. John Dodson, I beat him. He goes on 5-fight win streak. Nowadays, it's like you lose to the champion. You go get one fight and you come back like you're already back in the title shot, right? It's same thing. You know, you look at Peter Yan. He just fought Merab. He took him 3 years. 3 years. To get back a title shot, right? It's like It's almost like, you know, that's why I talk about Dana White privileges, right? It's like how, like if they want to just say he's way more popular than you guys, he's getting a shot. That's why he's getting a shot. Just way more popular. I don't go, fuck, this man's on a, you know, 20 fight win streak. He's way more popular. Come out and say that. That way the fans can understand, like, hey, dog, you got it.
Yeah, we know what's what.
We know what's what. Don't tell me that's a cat. Don't show me a cat and say it's a shark. Like, don't do that to me, right? And that's why I feel like I have this big battle.
Even Max Holloway, who has faced Volkanovski multiple times and knows the champion's abilities better than almost anyone, weighed in on the situation. Holloway finds it difficult to bet against Volkanovski in this matchup because the champion has already seen everything Lopes can do. That experience from their first fight gives Volkanovski a massive advantage. He knows Lopes' timing, understands his tendencies, and has already developed a winning game plan. Holloway points out that Volkanovski remains champion for a reason. He goes out there and gets the job done fight after fight. Beyond that, Holloway questions why anyone thinks Volkanovski would retire when he still has favorable matchups available at featherweight. Fighters like Movsar Evloev and Diego Lopes represent challenges, sure, but they're not the kind of nightmare stylistic problems that would push a champion into retirement.
It's hard to go against Volk, bro. I think Volk has some information from the first fight. I think so. He's a champ for a reason. I think so. He goes out there and gets done. I think Volk has some favorable matchups at 45. I don't know why he would retire. His next challengers, if the challengers is the challengers, you know, like his odds against like Mosov and Murphy. We'll see what happens.
While the featherweight title picture generates debate, another championship situation is unfolding in the lightweight division that Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett are set to fight for an interim lightweight title at UFC 324 on January 24th, with the winner expected to face undisputed champion Ilia Topuria in a unification bout down the line. That booking has sparked its own controversy, with multiple fighters and observers questioning whether Pimblett has done enough to earn a shot at gold even in an interim capacity. Gaethje understands the dynamics at play. He knows the audience wants to see Pimblett versus Topuria, the same way fans once clamored for Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. That potential matchup carries obvious promotional appeal, but Gaethje plans to disrupt those plans by beating Pimblett convincingly and forcing everyone to accept him as the rightful #1 contender.
Ilya or Paddy? I mean, the fight not happening. It's Justin or Paddy now. Paddy got to get past Justin. Justin's a tough fight, bro. I don't know. A lot of people sleeping on Justin on the Paddy fight, which just makes me ridiculous.
Urija Faber breaks down the Gaethje versus Pimblett matchup with the confidence of someone who understands exactly how these stylistic puzzles fit together. Faber leans toward Gaethje, and his reasoning centers on who thrives most in absolute chaos. Both fighters are willing to engage in violent exchanges, but Gaethje genuinely seems to enjoy knockdown drag-out wars in a way that few competitors can match. He's comfortable when fights get ugly and messy. Pimblett loves to fight too. Nobody doubts his heart or his willingness to engage. But Gaethje lives for those moments where everything breaks down into pure violence.
Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje, who do you favor in that fight?
I gotta go with Gaethje. I feel like he's the one that loves to like get down and throw fist for fist. And he's also got the Division I wrestling to negate some of the biggest skill sets of Paddy. Paddy's like a very dominant grappler when it comes to submissions. I think Gaethje has the tools to keep it where he wants it.
Tony Ferguson, who has fought both men, offered a unique perspective that focused less on technique and more on psychology. Ferguson didn't necessarily view Pimblett as the superior fighter, but he noticed something about Gaethje's emotional state that could matter. Gaethje has already experienced the heartbreak of losing 2 separate title fights. Stepping into another championship opportunity, even an interim one, might feel like reopening old wounds and dealing with all that accumulated pressure and disappointment. Pimblett, by contrast, enters this moment with fresh energy and excitement. He doesn't carry the emotional baggage of previous failures. Ferguson didn't think either man was unbeatable, but he sensed one fighter might be slightly weighed down by history, while the other walked in feeling only anticipation.
Paddy's not bad, dude. Paddy's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again, Paddy's in for a new treat, right? Paddy's the one that's never fought for a belt. he's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion.
Din Thomas approached the matchup from a more tactical angle, analyzing how Pimblett fits into the broader lightweight landscape. Thomas believes Pimblett stumbled into what might be his only realistic window to capture UFC gold. The division is stacked with killers, particularly rising threats like Arman Tsarukyan and the current champion Topuria. Thomas doesn't see favorable matchups for Pimblett against those younger, more explosive fighters. Gaethje, while still extremely dangerous, is further into his career and more stylistically predictable than the next generation of contenders. That makes him a better opponent for Pimblett to face if the goal is winning a title. Even with that advantage, Thomas couldn't shake his doubts about whether Pimblett could actually pull it off. He doesn't think Pimblett has the ability to control Gaethje on the ground for extended periods, and he doesn't see him surviving constant pressure over 5 full rounds. The matchup leans heavily toward Gaethje in Thomas's estimation. The only question is how long Pimblett can stay competitive before things unravel.
Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje fighting for the interim title. Whoever wins that fight will move on to fight Ilya, and I don't think that there will be a title defense for the interim title. If I was to bet, there will be no title defense of the interim title. I think that the next fight for whoever wins between Paddy and Justin, I think their next fight will be Ilya Topuria. So do not think they will defend the interim title. So good movement and clarity at 155 pounds. I feel for Arman Tsarukyan, but this fight's going to be incredible.
Eddie Alvarez, who handed Gaethje his first UFC defeat, took an entirely different approach to analyzing the fight. For Alvarez, this comes down to preparation more than anything else. Pimblett needs a completely different training environment if he hopes to handle what Gaethje brings on fight night. Gaethje's intensity can't be easily simulated in a typical training camp. Alvarez experienced it firsthand. The chaos, the constant collisions, the relentless pressure, and he thinks Pimblett needs to adapt to that reality before stepping into the cage. If Pimblett trains the way he normally does, surrounded by familiar sparring partners who don't push at Gaethje's level, then the first time he experiences that pressure will be during the actual fight when it's too late to adjust. Alvarez doesn't doubt Pimblett's heart or willingness to fight hard, but trying to adapt to Gaethje's style in real time is the kind of mistake that leads to early finishes.
That night 8 years ago, what's like the first thing that comes to mind when you think of that fight with Justin?
That I'm glad it's over and I never want to do it again. I'm like, the fans don't ever ask for a rematch or anything like that, because that would have never. I'm like, I'm glad. He's unique, man, and he's one of my favorite guys to watch. So like, but if you want to beat Justin Gaethje, you have to. So he's a forward fighter and a pressure fighter that he will stand in the pocket, and he's gonna throw everything he got in that pocket. If you don't meet him, you'll get chewed up. So Paddy, the way to beat a guy who like does this, very violent, aggressive pressure fighter, you have to meet him. You have to throw when he throws. So you got to be brave, and you have to go when he goes in between his shots. If you do that, you got a fair shot. If you don't do that, if you're not brave and courageous and throw when he throws in between his shots, it's going to be a really long night. It's going to be a hard night for you.
Matt Brown voiced broader frustration about what UFC 324 represents in terms of how the sport is evolving. For Brown, Pimblett's sudden leap into an interim title fight feels less like a reward for beating top contenders and more like a promotional gamble based on popularity. Brown has watched mixed martial arts change over the years, and this kind of matchmaking suggests a troubling shift toward favoring fighters who sell tickets over fighters who've genuinely earned their position. Arman Tsarukyan, in Brown's view, has done everything right. He's beaten stronger competition and proven himself against the highest level of opposition. Yet here he sits, pushed aside so a fighter with more social media buzz can jump the line. Brown's comments carried a half-sarcastic tone when he joked that title shots might as well be handed out based on Instagram followers, but beneath the humor sits genuine concern about where the sport is headed.
They're not even, like, they're just basically saying Paddy's more popular, you're getting it over Arman.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? And that's, I mean, God, I hate like how I kind of get into this too much, but I mean, that's really like, that's the definition of, monopoly, where a single promoter owns the title and the rankings. And it's not a good thing for the sport, in my opinion. And I have to question what it's going to do for the longevity of the sport. I don't think in the short term it's really going to make a big difference, right? Like, it's going to sell the next fight, right? It's going to sell the next pay-per-view. But trends tend to come and go, right? Fads tend to come and go. at some point, like, you know, to have staying power and lasting power, I think it requires, you know, a meritocracy based system. It's going to require, you know, some, you know, if you want to bring in guys like Armin Sarukian or Movsar Evloev, I always mess up how I say his name. You know, you want to bring in these Olympic wrestling level guys. I mean, they don't want to have to go out there and put on some ridiculous show to become a champion. They don't want to have to go on Instagram and start a podcast and make you know, whatever kind of skits on social media and this silly kind of stuff. Like, they just want to be a world champion because they want to be the best athlete. And that's what makes me wonder how the staying power is going to be, right? When you're dealing with guys that are, you know, legitimate athletes that want to be legitimate athletes, and they're getting passed up by guys that are entertainers.
These parallel situations in the featherweight and lightweight divisions illustrate the tension that exists in modern mixed martial arts between pure meritocracy and promotional strategy. Fighters like Murphy and Sarukian believe they've earned their opportunities through performance, only to watch the UFC make different decisions based on factors that have nothing to do with what happens inside the cage. Whether that approach benefits or damages the sport's credibility depends on who you ask, but the frustration from fighters who feel overlooked is impossible to ignore.